Welcome to the Uncomfortable Podcast, where we transform discomfort into a healing dialogue. In a world where we often feel pressure to present only the polished aspect of our lives, this podcast serves as a sanctuary for the real, the raw, and the messy. Here we embrace the echoes that true healing begins when we dare to vocalize our struggles. Our conversations are more than just talks. They are pathways to liberation and understanding. Each episode is an invitation to our listeners to join into a journey of vulnerability and honesty. We dove into a myriad of topics, navigating through the complexities of emotions, experiences, and often unspoken challenges that shape our lives. At the Uncomfortable Podcast, we don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep, encouraging our guests and listeners alike to release and speak their truth. It's a place where laughter and tears coexist, where stories and adversities become testimonies of resilience. Join us as we find comfort in the uncomfortable and discover that speaking out is the first step to healing. This is not just a podcast, it is a movement towards embracing our inner selves, imperfections included. Tune in as we journey together, speaking our way into healing and transformation. Welcome to the Uncomfortable Podcast. I am your host, Johanna B. Zeno. Again, welcome. We are so excited. We are so thrilled that you are here with us. Can y'all believe it again? We are on season 4, episode 4. 4 and 4, we doing a thing on this season, right? I pray that you all have been blessed with all of the episodes that we have had unto this point, because we've been unpacking, we've been releasing, and we've been speaking about some stuff. But we have a special treat in for you on today. We have Miss LaToya, you heard me, Miss LaToya Batiste, with the topic of today, the courage to speak. She is going to be bringing us into her experience with PMDD, which we may know as PMS, and how she was able to overcome that, how she was able to conquer that, and how it's still a process even within itself. So we're going to dive deep and have this unveiling, this, standing in our true conversation with her on today. So if y'all can go ahead and give an uncomfortable welcome to Miss LaToya.
Hello.
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we are so honored that you are here with us. So as I mentioned to everyone, we have you as our guest on today, but can you go ahead and introduce yourself for all of our listeners?
Absolutely. So my name is LaToya Batiste. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I have 2 kids. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, Harold Batiste. We've been married 15 and a half years. And I'm also a life insurance broker. I've been licensed for a little over 12 years, actually closer to 13. And that's pretty much the gist of who I am.
Okay, well, we are so thankful and grateful for you to be here with us on today. So we know our topic for today is the courage to speak. And let me just tell you, you have endured that courage on so many other levels, which that is what made me want to reach out to you when I was able to view your Facebook video, which too, if y'all have not already viewed, make sure to go find her on social media, which we will have all of her information at the end for you to go and, see why we have this conversation that we're about to have right now. So one of the things that you were talking about was your experience with PMDD, which many may know as PMS. So for anyone it is who is listening in, watching in for the very first time, or who may not be familiar with that, would you be able to explain to us exactly what that is?
Yes. So PMDD, it stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Mm-hmm. And it's basically, even by textbook definition, what it speak of is like it's an extreme case of premenstrual syndrome. It's severe, like it's basically PMS on steroids. Just another level, And when you look at it and you look at some of the symptoms and what it is, it really is more of like extreme mood shifts that is debilitating. Honestly, it's even noted as a disabling condition from the effects of anxiety, depression, damaging relationships, disrupt your work, your career, just lack of interest in things that you've once enjoyed, just suddenly. So that's in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Yeah. What it seems as if it's like that silent, like life intruder that just comes in and just have its way with so many things. But hearing you talk about and speak about it, it just made me think about like how there may be so many of us who may be experiencing the exact same thing, but we're not able to put language to it. You know what I mean? So what was it that made you first being able to recognize that something was just going on to where you were able to get it diagnosed as such?
So I'll be honest. Oh my goodness. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. When I actually traced it back, even, after telling my story the first time, I was able to trace it back of identifying that it initially started back in 2020, which was COVID.
Wow. Yeah.
And so what happened though, but I did have a break. I did have a break from it. It did stop for a little while, but initially in 2020, of course, it was COVID. We had the world shut down. It was so much going on. We had, I became a kindergarten teacher and a 4th grade teacher, at home. Well, with my kids, meaning having to come home.
Oh, girl, we all did.
Yes, right. So, it was just a lot. My husband was laid off and, he was in the process of starting his own business. But so a lot was happening. But what happened was I was on birth control and we had decided that we wanted to, work on expanding our family. And so I got off of birth control. Now I got off of birth control all during COVID. It was all during this time. And, we making the decision to expand. Well, unfortunately, it didn't go as planned. We had a miscarriage. And it was our 3rd miscarriage. And so, that within itself, it was heavy. It was hard, And so I'm going through all of this, but mind you, I'm just thinking, hey, I had some real life stuff happen, right? Our AC caught on fire. This was all while we were quarantined. So we just had a lot of different things that happened in like a 4-5 month period. And so, after that, we decided, okay, well, I'm getting older. I don't want to keep putting my body through that. I want to trust God, but in the same sense, I don't want to just keep going through that. So we collectively made a decision that, we have our boy and our girl. We're good, So fast forward, I got back on birth control. So I didn't realize, okay, that's what brought me back into balance and, harmony with myself. Whole of 2021, what I realized, I was like, I had just recently transitioned into another company. I was led I was initially with a captive company. And in the insurance world, basically what that is I can only sell directly with that particular company. So as I expand my knowledge and I just learned a lot, and I was just in a position to where I was constantly referring out clients, and I just wanted to be in a position to be able to help them as a whole. So I transitioned into another company and, I'm like, let me test this out before I even get more agents in or tell them about it. I just want to make sure it's right. So needless to say, I excelled immediately. Again, I was on birth control. Not until the end of like 2021, I excelled to the point where I won a company paid trip for both my husband and I as a
come on, guys.
Yes.
Paid trips. Look.
Paid trip. Yes. And so here it is. Now we talking. I'm like, well, we had the conversation of, well, since we have officially decided that we're not going to try for any more kids, the question is, do I tie my tubes, or I do all of these things, or my husband gets a vasectomy? And, my doctor at the time, he was just so awesome. He normalized a vasectomy. He talked to my husband, he encouraged him and just gave him the positive and the upside to the man having the procedure versus the woman. Yeah. And so, my husband realized, okay, I'm not going to be violated. It's not like that what people think. They have these rumors.
So they lose their soul if they do that. That's the word in the street. They will lose their soul if they have a vasectomy. For real.
I mean, I've heard as far as even to the extent that they think it's neutered, like they're neutered like a dog. Come on, it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing.
It is not.
So, needless to say, once we decided, okay, he's going to do the vasectomy, well, I'm going to get off of birth control, right? Because there's no need.
It makes sense. Yeah.
So, 2022, basically the beginning of 2022, he had the vasectomy. I got off of birth control. And then from there, in my mind, from what I thought, I was just living life proceeding with life as normal, and talking about it now, and since I've been processing it and unpacking it all and just, tracing it back, I can now say down to the wire of, that I suffered literally since about May, June until December 2023. So this was May 2022 to December 2023.
Wow.
And I suffered not knowing what I was going through.
It's a not knowing.
I got to the point, so fast forward to about October 2022, I'm realizing man, my memory, I felt like I'm forgetting. I felt like I was having memory loss. Literally. I couldn't. I'm talking about conversations, recalling conversations, forgetting that I actually spoke to someone. And, it was affecting my business. And so there was times where I just forgot to follow up with a client or it just, and so I'm like, oh my goodness. And then, I'm a transparent person. And it's like, there was a part of me wanted to share, but then there was a part of me that didn't want, because I didn't want them to think I was incapable. I'm like, I'm having a moment, but this doesn't disqualify me from being able to service them. Right. So I get my doctor involved and we do blood work, and listen, that started a whole, till this day, right now, in a couple of weeks, I have another follow-up, that's going to be, we approaching what? Almost 2 years of testing, blood work. I mean, if you name it, because why? What's some of the symptoms? Body aching, memory fog, memory loss, brain fog, however they will call it, joint pains, fatigue. Mind you, I hadn't even noticed the behavioral side of it at the moment, while I'm trying to get down to the bottom of what's going on with my body. I'm hurting. I mean, I changed my mattress twice. Literally, chiropractor. I had an MRI on my brain, neurologist, rheumatologist, constant blood work after blood work and testing, and everybody looking at me like, well, your blood work did show as though your body could be fighting itself, so let's get you with the rheumatologist. Maybe it's autoimmune. Well, okay, we was able to rule out lupus. It's not lupus, but it's something.
It's something.
We don't know what it is. And this whole time, I struggled. Now, mind you, in the midst of all that, I know I was dealing with these physical ailments, right? But what I didn't realize was I was fighting myself. I was fighting myself mentally. I had thoughts that I normally would not have thought. Depression, anxiety. I don't have anxiety. Anxiety, I've never had that before, right? So I'm like, why am I just so tired and I can't even, or why am my interest in things that I once loved, I don't love it. I don't want to do it. The only thing I'm thankful for is that because one of the side effects is saying how damaging relationships, not just intimate relationships, but personal. I mean, any type of relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that, you know, my husband was very supportive. Like, he was so supportive, and I have been able to, you know, we thought it was just PMS, you know, well, just give me my moment. I even had a conversation with the kids. I'm like, listen, kids, if mama say, listen, every once a month or so, you know, if mama say I need a break, or if I need you to just please, I need it. Please just understand I need it. And so, you know, just trying to prepare them. And, you know, so I had support, and I did the best I could, but I battled and I fought, and I kept a lot. I even kept a lot from my husband, but then it got to the point where I started to, you know, my self-confidence. I didn't trust myself. I didn't understand what was going on. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I was battling. I was fighting, and I didn't understand why. You know, I thought it was PMS here and there, but I didn't understand how it was severe, like how extreme it was. And it was more than, so then I could get so angry, and just knowing my temperament, you know, I am big personality, outspoken, but angry, I don't get angry.
Characteristics that you weren't familiar with.
Not familiar with at all. And just,
I'm sorry. And that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what was the balance like in family life and business life, even with that? Because it's like, we are all human, and our feelings are valid. Like, it's ours. And I'll never be able to really, truly be able to like communicate to someone else, like what I'm battling with here. But I need you to understand my words, my body language, just my actions with things. So like, what did that look like with your husband and like with your kids? Because with you saying all that, I'm pretty sure all of us have walked through that. It may have not been, you know, with us going to the extent of getting the diagnosis and blood work and so on. But there's so many things that we deal with where we're like fighting ourselves and fighting our minds and our emotions. You know, so with family, like, what did that look like balance wise?
So I'll say honestly, during that time, for the most part, I did my best to keep quiet. Like I kept quiet. I would probably like kind of, you know, wander off on some alone time, like just kind of remove myself from the main space at times that I could. I just tried to, I understood that I was not myself, right? But I didn't understand to what magnitude. But nonetheless, the most of the balance that I did, and I tried my best, was just trying to just stay quiet. And what happened in that is that my voice was really silenced. I got to the point where, you know, I wasn't talking as much in general, period. There was times that I needed to share, that I felt that, you know, because mind you, I was normal at least 1 to 2 weeks a month, right?
Yeah.
But only to get hit right back to, you know, a cycle of like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I used to have more self-control. I used to, you know, be able to maintain myself, like just as a whole, you know. So I just didn't know. I really didn't understand what was going on until once I discovered, once we and understand ultimately, well, I can't, what I was going to say was that ultimately it wasn't, you know, a doctor or anything that brought it to my attention, in which ultimately it was the nurse practitioner at my, you know, my gynecologist's office that told me what it was. But I had already, like, and I'm saying but I believe it was the Holy Spirit that just laid it on me. And that moment that, hey, maybe you should look into getting back on your birth control. You know, but I'm like, get on my birth control. I mean, my husband had a vasectomy. Why would I get on my birth control? But it's like he reminded me that how those particular birth controls that I was on at one point, how it did help with my mood, and it helped during my PMS. Yeah. How and why I did not think of that for a year and a half, only God knows. But nonetheless, it was, definitely I was distracted by what the doctor was saying, because I wasn't going to my female doctor for all of what I was going to, trying to figure out. Because again, I wasn't even really focused on none of the behavioral side of it. I was just really focused on all of the physical that I was experiencing, because I just figured, I know I'm PMS and I'm gonna be okay. It's not that serious, right? So I'm just focusing on the physical, all of these, my body aches and just all of the pain that I was in, to where that wasn't even a question. Like, it was just to the extreme, neurologists, rheumatologists. Yeah.
So I know whenever we're going through different things, like what it looks like inside the household is one thing, but what it looks like outside of the household, is something completely different. And I do recall in your video, you mentioned how you had a conversation with one of your friends. I know many a times if you're mainly like that strong friend or the one who's there for everybody else, it's like, oh, I bring them my problem, or I can't tell them what's really truly going on. Because what if they look at me in a form of weakness when I'm supposed to be the strong one, to be there for them. So like, what did that look like with having that conversation with your friend, know?
So that particular friend was someone that we were both, business minded. We were in different careers, but we were both business minded. So we was pretty much, operating in each other's lives as accountability partners.
Good.
And so we were, that's what it was mainly focused around. So when she calling me or we checking in and we going through, and I'm like, girl, I can't pull myself together. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm like, I lost my drive. I lost my confidence. I lost my boldness. I lost my voice. And it was happening slowly, but it's like, I'm thinking I'm gonna shake back. I believe in God, like with all my heart. And I know that it's, through him that I'm even here to even share this. And so I'm praying, right? I'm praying and I'm trusting and I'm believing God. It's like, I'm believing God for my healing, and I'm believing that it's nothing, and I'm getting better. But then, and then again, mind you, it's like this cycle, because I'm normal 1 to 2 weeks out of the month. Okay, now I'm like, ooh, you caught me on a good day. Not realizing it, but okay, I'm on a good day. I'm focused. I'm on it. I'm in my planner. I'm doing this. I'm calling up clients, following up.
I'm accomplishing some stuff. I'm productive right now.
Oh, I'm productive. And then it'll hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, and I literally just found a text that I had sent her. I don't know. I was searching for something, and the text came, and literally it was June 2022. And, she had checked in on me, and I was like, girl, I can't get it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I said, man, I've realized, I've allowed my emotions to take over at times. And, my PMS is just on another level. I need to get it under control, and I'm just so tired. Like, I don't feel like I have so much stuff to do. And I literally don't have the energy to get it done.
Nothing.
And I'm like, and mind you, I don't take naps. Like, years ago when my son was younger, like, and obviously that's my oldest, we took naps. That was our thing. We took naps. But I was so beyond naps. Like, I stopped taking naps probably over 10, 12 years. And so it got to the point where almost every day I'm like, I said, it's not even like me, but I need a nap. Like, I need to take a nap. I could not pull myself together. I did not have I was just sad. I felt like I was hopeless. Literally. It was so extreme. And it's like, even talking about it, it just seems like, how could you be going through this and you can't pull yourself together, honestly? Because I'm strong. Mind you, I understand that depression exists. I understand that anxiety happens. I understood all of that, but I just didn't believe and think it was on me, and I was experiencing it. And I just thought I was having a moment, and I was gonna come out. Okay. I was gonna
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. That was not the case.
Yeah. It's the fact that you are able to bring awareness of it to yourself. I believe that many of us, like, we're dealing with things, but we don't want to come in terms to this is our reality in the
Yeah,
moment. Like, I
yeah,
don't want to accept this, and I don't want to accept that. If I just take a nap or whatever, I'll get over it. Or if
hmm,
I, find something or set a new goal, it's like we get so distracted with so many other things to where we really truly don't just stop and pause and do self reflection to say,
yes,
no, I may be experiencing something. And if
yeah,
I get the proper help or reach out to who I need to reach out to, like, it could eventually evolve into something else. So the fact that you are able to have the awareness of, and also to your accountability partner, your person, your friend, many people don't have that. But whenever you
yeah,
do, it's a beautiful thing in the fact that you're able to be as vulnerable with
yeah.
someone when you're going through something that you can't even put a language to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it was, I know it was just God. It was God who just really did it and put it together. And for a few months, we had kind of was out of touch, for a few months. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
obviously probably she caught me on one of my up moments. And I'm like, listen, I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's, revisit. She had obtained a lot of information as she has grown so much.
Yeah.
Her business. I mean, she's accomplished a lot of the things that we discussed as far as the goals and stuff we was gonna, accomplish
Yeah.
together. And so I'm like, listen, I'm ready. Let's get together. Let's talk. So we get together, child, just as fast as we left, I was back down in the pits. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't keep pull it together. So then again, that played on my confidence and my ability to trust myself because I felt inconsistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in business, like, I had agents and I had a team of, individuals that I'm supposed to be training, developing, helping. And I'm like, I'm having to have a conversation with them and talking to my upline of telling them, listen, I need your help. I need you to, I can't. I'm in
Oh,
I don't even know what I'm going through, right? But I'm going through something that I don't have the ability to even pour into them or train them. I really wasn't even seeking out new business. I would rarely post or advertise my business. I would
mm,
feel convicted when, I have a client that I'll talk to a client and they, had a product that just was not supposed to be. And I'm like, gosh, and
mm,
I would feel convicted because I'm like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I know this is why I'm in this industry because I know there's like a lot of
yeah.
um just salesmen that's just selling, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so my heart and my passion for helping people, educating people, that's why. And I'm like, I can't even do it. So then it got to the point where I'm like, I'm sick of it. I don't even want to do it anymore. I
Oh,
did it though. I had calls. I would get calls and I would help them but I'll tell you, between my memory and my lack of desire, I'll do my part. I'll give you a quote. But to keep following up, to follow
yeah.
up like I normally would, well, it's not important to you. My level of feeling like, I'm like, well, it's not important to them. It's stressing me out. I'm trying to store all this in my brain, keep following up with them. And it literally felt overwhelming though. It was weird
Yeah.
because it wasn't even myself. I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years. They never follow back up. I always have to follow up. And it never bothered me. It was not a problem. Follow,
Yeah.
following up until they finally respond. Hey, I'm calling about the insurance you said you needed for your family.
Mm,
I would hold them accountable. Girl,
yeah.
this whole year and a half, I'm like, I'll follow up if I can when I can, but it started to stress me out. It started
Mm,
to make me feel so overwhelmed. Mind you, and that's one of the you already feel overwhelmed with this condition, but
yeah.
it's just everything is just maximized. Everything is extreme. I mean, it
Mm,
even talks about suicidal thoughts. I'll be honest, no, I never had suicidal thoughts. I never thought of really hurting myself. But if I could be honest with you, I thought of like, God, you don't even need to wake me up.
oh.
You're better off without me.
Mm,
Look at me. I can't do nothing for them right now. I'm not adding value. I felt like even in the moment, I mean, I didn't think it was just me. Obviously, I didn't think it was just
yeah.
me. But my relationship with my son, like, he's a teenager, and it was just magnified. Like, it was, I really, I felt like when I look back, I'm like, God, I thank you for even stopping it now, because, he's at a crucial age. He's 14.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could have really damaged our relationship, and not even realizing it was me, not even realizing it was my fault, and so, I'm just thankful that it was a year and a consistent year and a half, but I'm thankful it stopped. I caught it when I did, and because I just couldn't imagine continuing to live like, I couldn't imagine, especially looking back and realizing that it's something that was just, I feel so easily fixed. I'm healed, like, without a doubt. It's only been a month. This was my first month. I just completed feeling normal. I am completely myself again. Like, it is unbelievable how quick my choice. They give you the options of how do you, but at the end of the day, it's about our hormones. It's our hormones that's not. When our body does what it does between the cycle and the ovulation and all this stuff, things happen in there, and it messes our levels, and it'll do things that we don't even realize is happening, right? So I did opt to get on birth control.
Yeah.
And it worked. And it worked for me. I kid you not. My first month, I started on December 24th.
Oh, we to the month. It's
look back
1 month.
Like,
but I'm just
1 month.
Just your courage just to be able to share and to speak about it. Because like I mentioned, is that so many women, because I know when I had looked it up, because I've always known it as PMS, but it says that studies show that there's every 1 in 20 women who suffer with that. And because they're not able to articulate or put language to it, they're literally suffering in silence and going through the motion and just becoming like this, this irritated individual, when really truly is not something you can suffer with. But until you're able to bring awareness and speak to someone and say it and vocalize it and release it and let it let it be known, like, what you're experiencing and what you're going through, that is when your healing journey can begin. You know what I mean? So I'm just so thankful and so grateful. So what would you think needs to be done or can be done just to bring the awareness of, like, if there's something that you would say, that can start to be just kind of like that one step forward, or just to bring awareness to, like, what would that be?
Yes. So, I thought of 2 things, and I toyed with that, because I'm like, how could this have been prevented? How could I have not suffered for so long in regards to that? And I feel that, one, when, in our case, as far as going to the urologist, I believe that's what it's called, and my husband having the vasectomy, I feel that should be some education in regards to, hey, listen, in most cases, now that you're having a vasectomy, so now it's as though, you're not at risk. And so, or just getting off of birth control, understand the effects of that, understanding how it can affect your hormones, especially whether you've been on it all a long time or not. The point is, most of them help with balancing your hormones. So I felt like that's something that could have been included in the whole process, because I was included in the process. We were there, we had a consultation, we spoke, we talked, and none of that was really mentioned as far as that. And another thing, I feel like even at the female doctor office, in regards to understanding what it's like if you just stop birth control as well, So I just feel like considering after I spoke out, the amount of women that reached out, it was like, oh my God, like, there's so many, there's people out there still suffering and don't even know. And like, a couple of them even told me they were going through all of the testing that I went through. They was having panic attacks, and heart palpitations. So they have to go see a cardiologist. And in addition to all of what I did, do you understand? This was like a year and a half of, oh my God,
Yeah.
all these testing, and it was not near the answer. It was not near the answer.
All the science and it
All
wasn't near.
it wasn't. So, that's one of the two things that I believe that could really bring awareness. And also, honestly, man, having more women and just having more of us that's just transparent and just honest, and because
right there.
it's so hard. So many people are embarrassed. They're embarrassed about what they go through. They embarrassed about their struggles. And it's like, my goal was to never, make it seem like don't get me wrong. People think and feel and felt I had my life together. Like everything was perfect. Right. And, aside of my PMS and in those moments that I really thought was moments, life was good. But I had down days. I had bad days, but I'll be honest, what happened and what I said, how I did silence my voice is because I was in a place of, I didn't understand. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't trust myself. My memory was, I didn't want to mislead people. So I rarely spoke. I did come out and I shared a post about, just being transparent. Like, listen, I am doing testing. I have to see a rheumatologist. I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. And I shared a portion of it, but I'll be honest, you'd read that message, you would think, girl, that's autoimmune. That is lupus, fibromyalgia. That might even be RA.
Yeah.
Because
but it was all the rule out. It all ruled it out.
It ruled it out.
That's so good. I love it. I love it. You said something that's key. If most people would just stand in their truth with the transparency, regardless of the guilt and regardless of the shame, there is no condemnation,
Right.
and it's really truly whenever we're doing life in the pit of things, and when we come out, then we can really show and lead by the example of, it's like how God really truly have us, his hand over our life, how he just continues to, govern over us, even whenever we're not thinking that he is, you know what I mean? Like, God, why is this happening to me? Like, why are you taking me through all these things? But understanding that everything that we go through is never about us. It's never for us. But it's all about the next person and their life and what their experiences are. So one of the questions that I have for you is, with going through everything of who Toya was prior to that May of that year to who Toya is today, who is she? What have you learned in that whole experience of it all?
Oh, God. One of the things, honestly, that I've learned is, keeping God very, very close to me, and not when I need him or just on the, and I know this is not to sound like I'm better than anybody else. God knows that's not what I mean, but I know that there's a calling on my life. I know that I can't get away with things that most people can get away with. And, at the end of the day, throughout that process, through me being stressed out, I didn't I didn't fully submit to him in that process. If anything, I ran from him because I was aggravated. He was still there and he kept tugging on me or whatever. But I'm like, but I believe that I delay, mind you, God's timing is perfect timing. I believe that with everything in me. But what I also do believe is there's his will and there's free will, our will. And I believe that my free will caused me to delay my total healing because I wasn't in a place to hear. I wasn't in a place to really, really understand that you need to submit. You need to submit. You know, I need to submit. And so I learned that, and I learned, and I also learned that I believe in God, right? I pray, all of that, but faith without works is dead. In this situation for me, you know, a lot of it is like, you know, especially as, you know, a Christian, or, you know, a lot of times we tend to over spiritualize things, and, you know, the Lord is gonna heal me. And listen, I believe that. Yes.
Yes.
I believe in miracles. Yes, he can. But I also believe in, you know, he gives us tools. He gives us access to, you know, things to utilize to assist us. That's like, you know, one of the things is like, you could pray and pray and pray, but if you don't put gas in your car,
you ain't going nowhere.
You're going to run out of gas. And so what I've got from that for me is that, listen, don't feel bad that you have to get medication. You know, and it's the birth control that I chose, but they also have that one of the options that they do give is like an antidepressant. Some give it a low dose. Some say, okay, maybe a little bit before, a week or two before your cycle actually start. But, you know, my personal preference, I didn't want to feel medicated. I didn't want to feel numb. I knew that the birth control worked for me, and that's why I chose that route. But nonetheless, you know, I just, without a doubt, no hesitation, I'm like, okay, you telling me these are the options? I'm not going to just sit here and keep praying and believing God for my healing. Send my prescription in. Send it in.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Yeah. Because I also, too, because you'll hear some people who will argue that, like, God go heal you. He a provider, which he is. Like,
absolutely.
Let's be clear. He is omnipresent, and he is everywhere. But I also too believe that he has skilled and gifted others to help us in areas to where we fall short with it.
Absolutely.
Scripture tells us that where we are weak, he is made strong. So in our weakness, if he put it, you know, the skill and the gift into someone who became a scientist to be able to help us, then that's his strength, you know, in our weakness. So I firmly with 1000%
yes
with that 100, like that's amazing, and I just love it. So if there is anything that you can leave with any of our listeners, what would it be?
I would say just don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to get help. You're not alone. Like, you are not alone. And I know for me that, considering that I'm a naturally transparent person, I'm bold, I'm confident. You know, I have been the voice for many people who don't speak out for themselves and just speaking out, period. And I got caught up. In my condition, my situation, mind you, and it's because of lack of understanding, not lack of knowledge. I really didn't know what was going on. And you know, and it's not that I was afraid to speak. I did speak out. I was crying out for help, like, any advice I need you. But again, I didn't know. But nonetheless, if this is you, or if you feel like you have any of these symptoms, one to know is, listen, it's not even this big old testing that you have to do. It's no testing that actually diagnoses you. It could actually be self-diagnosed. You look at the symptoms, a lot of what I mentioned, from irritability, anger, all that. If it is any of this, 5 of them, you know, not even just the physical side of it, but as even the emotional side of it, any 5, don't hesitate. Call your doctor. Get help. Do not suffer. Don't wait. Don't think it's just going to go away or you're going to manage it. I've spoken to women who tried that and did that, and they're still, they realize, okay, it's not something, you know. So that would be my main thing I would encourage. Just don't be afraid to get help.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We have heard so much about you and your story, from you being an insurance broker,
Yes.
experiencing 3 miscarriages, going
Yes.
through the pandemic, going through with the PDMM and the PMS, and your husband
Yes.
having a vasectomy. I know that was a whole nother situation.
Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes.
itself, and your kids going through it and so on. But over it all, you overcame and you conquered it. And you're the walking example and display of what real true victory looks like and what healing
Yes.
looks like. And you
Yes.
snitch on yourself and you tell your truth and tell all your stuff. Then that's
Okay.
healing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so I just love it. So for anyone it is who's watching or listening in, how can they find you?
Well, my Facebook is LaToya Batiste. That's my personal page. On Instagram, my name is Toyism with an underscore. And it's spelled TOYAISM_. My business page is LaToya Batiste Life Insurance Broker, also on Facebook. So yeah, that's pretty much how you guys could find me.
Awesome, awesome. So I just want to thank you again for taking out the time to have a conversation
Yes.
with us. You left with so many nuggets, so many things as like provoke thoughts even within ourselves that makes us really truly want to sit down and examine ourselves and ask ourselves these questions. Are we being, agitated with maybe the smallest thing? Is we not feeling as ourselves or, confident and motivated? And if so, we may need to take that trip to the doctor just for us to ask questions and see what's going on. So again, thank you so much for the courage just to speak. We are so blessed and honored with your, your testimony, your story, and just with your presence. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We will.
Welcome. Thank you.
Grateful for you. So for any of our listeners, listen, y'all go follow our girl on Instagram and Facebook as well. And if you have any of these symptoms that you may be struggling with, do not be afraid to speak out, ask questions, get uncomfortable.
Yes. And even feel free to reach out to me. I don't even mind. Call me, reach out to me. I'm here. I'm an ear, and I'll help as much as I can.
There was no reason for you to suffer in silence. There's someone there to help you. So until next time, you all go out and live a very comfortable life. Bye.